Hey guys, this is Upesh from Beebom.com, and after all the wait, I've finally gotten hands on the new Micromax smartphones. This is the Micromax In Note 1, and I know there's a lot of hype around this phone because the price to specs ratio seems pretty good. So let's not waste any more time. Let's check out the In Note 1, and first let's check out what's in this box. So here's the In Note 1 box, and inside you get the 18-watt charging adapter, the USB A to USB-C cable, the SIM ejector tool, some manuals, and that's it. There's no case or anything else. Anyway, moving on to the phone itself, there are two things that caught my attention when I first unboxed this. Now, first is obviously this flashy back with the X pattern. I mean, this is a plastic back and it's fine for a phone at this price. If you ask me, I personally like the more subtle white variant of the phone, but I understand a lot of people will like this. Now, the second thing I noticed first up is that this is quite a big phone. I know it looks pretty usual in the photos, but in the hand it does feel kind of big. As for the weight, it weighs in at 195 grams, so I wouldn't call this hefty, but yeah. Anyway, this big design makes way for a bigger screen. This is a 6.6-inch IPS LCD 1080p display with the punch hole design, so it's a modern looking display, and I like that Micromax went with full HD, unlike some makers who put HD displays in this price range. Plus, the display looks good. So far, it's only been a couple of days, but the display seems bright enough and it's vibrant, so it's good so far. As for any screen protection, there's no Gorilla Glass here, but Micromax says there's some sort of hardened glass here, and I'll be using this phone for the next few days, so I'll see if it gets scratched pretty easily. Now, apart from this, another thing to note is that the phone does not have the Widevine L1 license required for HD playback in apps like Netflix and Prime Video. See, YouTube videos play fine at 720p or 1080p, as you can see, but there's no HD support in Netflix. You can only play videos in SD, so yeah, that's kind of an issue. Now, coming to the design though, it's got all the functionality you can expect. A fingerprint scanner on the back, which has been fast enough in my brief usage. A dedicated Google Assistant key, which is a nice touch. The headphone jack, USB-C port, and the single speaker at the bottom, which I found to be fairly loud and decent quality wise. There's also a triple slot for 2 SIMs and a micro SD card, so yes, everything's kind of covered. Now, along with the design, another thing I was really interested to check out in the new Micromax in smartphones is the software experience, because I think that's going to be the big highlight of these phones. So the In Note 1 brings an almost stock Android experience. I say almost because there are a few changes and additions here and there, but it's mostly stock Android and it's a very clean experience. I mean, there's absolutely no ads and there's no bloatware whatsoever. This is the app drawer in the phone out of the box. And as you can see, there are a few basic apps like Gallery, Micromax's camera app, FM radio, sound recorder, SIM toolkit, and that's it. There's no third-party apps here, not even Facebook, the usual suspect. So this is actually impressive and I like it. As for these apps, they're fine except for Gallery. So this is the Gallery app right here, and this is actually the same Gallery app that we used to get in 2014, 2015, or even older phones. Yeah, this is honestly outdated. A bit nostalgic, but also outdated. It's not a big deal because a lot of people use Google Photos and that's a pretty good gallery app, but yeah, Micromax should update this. Now, talking about the few additions to stock Android, it's Android 10 here, although 11 would have been nicer. Anyway, so some of the things look a little different, like the quick settings page, but it's not a big deal. I also noticed this set of gestures here that you can use in the phone. There's also this Dura Speed feature, which is basically a booster feature from MediaTek. And there's a user guide in case you need it. Apart from that, there's also Face Unlock here, which works fine. So yeah, these additions are okay. And honestly, I like the software experience on the In Note 1, especially with Micromax promising 2 years of updates. So yeah, software experience is definitely the USP here. As for the specs, I think you already know it. The Helio G85, the 4GB RAM, 64 or 128GB eMMC storage. So yeah, good specs for the price, definitely. Now, I've used the G85 in other phones and it's not a hardcore gaming chipset, and at this price I think it's good and good enough for most things. But yes, I'm obviously testing out the phone and I'll be able to get a better idea on the performance later on. Anyway, the camera specs are also pretty good for the price. A 48 megapixel main camera, 5 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, and a couple of mandatory 2 megapixel lenses. But you know what? Even the 2 megapixel lenses are fine because it shows that Micromax wants to compete. As for the features, you get the usual set: portrait mode, night mode, HDR, AI scene detection, pro mode, etc. in the camera app, which does seem a little clunky, but it'll do. As for the photos, here are some of the shots I've taken so far, and it's too early to judge, but I feel like the main camera does a good job when there's good lighting. Yes, there's some over processing at times in the trees, but mostly the photos so far have looked good. When the light goes down, there's some struggle similar to a lot of other phones in the budget segment, but I think the photos from the main camera are overall decent to good enough. As for the 5 megapixel ultra wide angle lens, here are some shots from it, and honestly, it has me a little doubtful so far because the photos, let's put it this way, they don't seem that good. The details go away and the photos look a bit faded to me, so yeah. When it comes to videos, there's 1080p video recording support, and here's a 1080p video from the phone, which I feel is plain okay because you can see the sudden exposure changes, the stability isn't that good, and the whole video has an over-sharpened look. As for the front camera, it's a 16 megapixel sensor, and here are some selfies from the phone, and I think it does a decent job, so no problems here. Overall, so far I found the main camera to be fairly good all around, but I'm not so sure about the other cameras, but yeah, I'll be testing things out more. Moving on the battery front, you get a 5000 mAh battery, and from my use so far, I think the battery performance should hold up very good. As for the charging, you get this 18-watt charger in the box, which should be decently fast, so again, no problems here. And yeah, there's reverse charging support, so you can use this phone as a power bank too. Lastly, when it comes to connectivity, there's 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz Wi-Fi support, dual VoLTE and voice over Wi-Fi support, Bluetooth 5.0, and it has the whole bunch of usual sensors as well. Now coming to the pricing, I think you guys already know the price. The Micromax In Note 1 starts at ₹10,999. And let me make this clear that this is not my review. These are kind of my first thoughts on the phone. And if you ask me, so far, I think the Micromax In Note 1 seems like a pretty good, well-rounded phone for the price. The design is decent, the display looks good so far, and the fact that it has a bloatware-free, ad-free stock Android experience is a big deal because at this price, you either get the specs or you get the stock Android experience, not the best of both worlds. So that's good, but I think I'll have a better idea of the camera performance once I've compared it to other phones from Xiaomi and Realme. Also, the long-term performance, the software optimization, these are things that I will get clarity on once I've used the phone for at least a week. So yeah, I'm going to keep testing out the In Note 1 and, find out. Anyway, what do you guys think of the In Note 1? I'd love to know your thoughts on this phone in the comments down below. So make sure to comment down below. Also, give this video a like, make sure to share it, and subscribe to our channel for, some amazing tech videos. Well, that's me signing off. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.